the Middle East never sleeps. And these past 24 hours have been absolutely insane. First up, we got informed that the Hamas leader Wissam got assassinated in an apartment in the north of Lebanon. Next up, according to Reuters, the US military said that it killed the official who headed a unit behind the alleged assassination plot against the President of the United States, Donald Trump. The name was not publicly released, but it was mentioned that the operation took place on Tuesday. All of this is happening while the remaining Iranian Air Force gets absolutely destroyed. It also seems that the Mossad hacked different cameras to follow Khamenei for years. Next up, the Iranian regime sustained a massive blow. 80 terrorists got killed when a US submarine torpedoed an Iranian Navy ship. And guess what? Yet another IRGC Navy ship got absolutely destroyed. All of that is happening while the Iranian media stated that the death toll of the airstrikes have risen to 1,045. Also, the Israeli defense minister Katz made a statement saying every leader of Iran who is planning to destroy Israel, the United States, or countries of the region will be absolutely targeted. It does not matter what his name is or the place where he hides. Also, he mentioned that the Israeli army will use all force against the Iranian regime, while Sky News states that according to US Secretary of War, many senior Iranian leaders have been killed or their successors are either missing or hiding. All of that is happening while the United States is expanding its air control inward into Iran. This is according to the US Joint Chiefs of Staff Journal. All of that is happening while the President of Israel just gave a statement.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for being here. I know you probably have gotten very little sleep in the last number of days. Why now? What precipitated this moment at this time? I know you have talked about it. We've known each other 30, 35, maybe more years. And why at this point was this necessary?
Well, the first thing to understand is why it's necessary at any time. Iran, for 47 years, has been chanting death to America, death to Israel too. But you're the big Satan, we're the small Satan. Death to America. They've murdered and maimed thousands of Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan with their IEDs. These are roadside bombs. They've bombed your embassies. They tried to assassinate Donald Trump, the President of the United States, twice. They've murdered their own people. They massacred so many. And they spread a worldwide web of terror. So this is a regime committed to destroying the United States of America. It's the only country on the planet that says so openly and works tirelessly to achieve that goal. The reason that we had to act now is because they were, after we hit their nuclear sites and their ballistic missiles program, you'd think they learned a lesson. But they didn't, because they're unreformable. They're totally fanatic about this, about the goal of destroying America. So they started building new sites, new places, underground bunkers that would make their ballistic missile program and their atomic bomb programs immune within months. If no action was taken now, no action could be taken in the future. And then they could target America, they could blackmail America, they could threaten us and threaten everyone in between. So action had to be taken, and you needed a resolute president like Donald J. Trump to take that action. And we are his very strong and able partners, and our alliance today is so strong. We had to take the action now, and we did. Otherwise, the Iranian mass murder regime would have immunity from future action.
Steve Witkoff made this statement, the Middle Eastern envoy, and he made it last week, that they absolutely are clinging to their ability to build out a nuclear weapons program. And the president, as he said, he wanted a peace deal, gave them every opportunity for peace, like they did before Operation Midnight Hammer. And they steadfastly refused. In the first 30 seconds, I've never seen anything like this in my life. The supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and his top 40 leaders were wiped out, Ahmadinejad among them. That is incredible intelligence, and wow, I'm sure this will be studied for centuries to come, not decades.
Well, you know, when America, the indispensable ally for Israel and the greatest power in the world, and Israel, America's model ally, as the National Security Council just called it, when we work together, amazing things happen. We worked together and amazing things happened. But I have to tell you that it wouldn't happen without the leadership of President Trump, because he just, you know, I met him in Mar-a-Lago. You may remember this because I think you live close by, and I saw you at that time, right before his re-election, okay? Or before he was inaugurated the second time. And we met in Mar-a-Lago. And the first thing that Donald Trump said to me, he said, you know, we have to prevent Iran from getting nukes. As simple as that. He said that because he saw that as a clear and present danger to the security and well-being of the United States. To have a regime like that, so fanatic, that it just defines itself by destroying America, exporting revolution, exporting terrorism, exporting the worst Islamist fanaticism that attacks Arabs, attacks Israelis, attacks Americans, attacks everyone in sight. They just fired now their ballistic in sight around in the Middle East, including Cyprus and Europe. To have a regime like that, that plans to eradicate the United States, have the weapons of mass death, would have been the greatest threat that America would face in the coming decades. And so he said to me right off the bat, I didn't say to him, he said to me, we have to make sure they never get the nukes. And that's what he did. We tried first to take them out in Midnight Hammer and Rising Lion operation, and we took out their missile sites, but then they started again, their missile and nuclear sites. They didn't learn the lesson. He tried to get negotiations. He negotiated with them. They didn't get it. They tried to string him along. So action had to be taken, and we took it.
President Trump repeated over and over and over again, and I would argue that the leadership that is now dead was a death cult and an existential threat, not just to the region, not just to Israel, death to America, but I am very convinced and have been convinced, as you have been for decades, that if they ever got nuclear weapons, that they would, you know, along with their fanaticism, it would cause them to use it. That is what that death cult would cause them to do. Is this now the culmination of decades of your work and your belief and your passion that these radicals needed to be defeated? And what is next for Iran? You know, we talk, well, the regime's changed, but we don't know into what yet. What are your thoughts?
Well, you're right. I did have spoken about it for decades. And I try to persuade successive American administrations to take firm action. And President Trump in his first term did. He got out of the disastrous Iran deal right off the bat. And he did everything he could to prevent them from going into the nuclear program that they seek to build atomic bombs to threaten us and you, and ultimately to attack both of us and to destroy as much as they can, because this is what these people do. They basically are in the business of mass death, and you're right to call them a death cult. I worked with several presidents. I always appreciated the fact that we had, well, forthright discussions. Often we agreed, but often we didn't. We disagreed. And I appreciated that we kept the alliance going. But I want to tell you something. I'm not a youngster, so I've been around. There's never been a president like Donald J. Trump. His resoluteness, his decisiveness, his clarity of thinking, the way he gets right to the crux of things. It cuts through all the fluff, cuts through the chase, gets down to the main point, and it gets down to the main action that needs to be taken. And I think for Israel, and I think for the countries of the free world, let me tell you, I think for the world, we're very lucky to have him as the leader of the free world, and in fact, the leader of the world. He's brought America back to being the leader of the world, and it makes a huge difference. And I can tell, I'm talking to America's allies in the region, just one by one by one, and I can't quote from these conversations, But I can tell you they all share this, and they all say, thank God that Donald Trump is here. Thank God that the two of you are acting together to remove this threat, not only to you, but to us. And Iran today just bombed with these ballistic missiles, these weapons of mass death, these weapons of terror. They're terror weapons. They bombed all these countries. They bombed Cyprus, which is Europe. I've said it won't take very long. They're bombing us, then they'll bomb Europe, and when they develop the intercontinental ballistic missiles and the nuclear wars to fit on these ballistic missiles, they'll threaten you, and eventually they'll bomb you. This is what President Trump understood, and alone among U.S. presidents that I've worked with, he took action. And we're all very, very lucky that he did.